Hello everybody and welcome back to the second shelf. It's the end of September, last day of September today, and that means it's time for new books, the October TBR. And for those of you who might be new, TBR for the purpose of this video always means to be released. So what I do is at the end of each month, I look at the new releases for the upcoming month and then I pick a couple that I personally find interesting and I share them with you. And as usual, as always, we start off with literary fiction. And you might not be surprised that my pick for October is the new novel by Barbara Kingsolver, Unsheltered, which will come out mid-October. Now, if you have been following my channel, you know that I came to Barbara Kingsolver pretty late last year, because for some reason, don't ask me why, I thought she wrote romance. And I don't read romance, at least not often. But anyway, so I read only one book by her, The Lacuna, last year, and that wasn't an undivided success. I thought it was okay, but I didn't love it. But a lot of people who love Barbara Kingsolver's work told me that The Lacuna is not one of her best novels and that I should try The Poisonwood Bible. I haven't done that yet. I haven't gotten around to do that. But I thought I might, pick up as a second book by her newest, Unsheltered. Anyway, Unsheltered follows the story of two families set in the present day and the late 1880s. One of the families centers around Willa Knox. She's a middle-aged woman who faces financial difficulties. She lost her job. Her husband, who had been tenured at a college, lost his job because the college closed. And the only thing there is an inheritance, a quite dilapidated house in New Jersey, in Vineland. Willa then starts to investigate the history of the house in an attempt to get funding from some history preservation society. And there she comes across the second family in the 1880s, Thatcher Greenwood, a mathematician, and his story. So from what I understand is that the book is about these two families. Now I have to say I'm not that much into family stories, family history, but still the fact that it centers around a house and the history of a house sounded interesting to me, and I wanted to read another Barbara Kingsolver, so that's why my pick for literary fiction for this month is Unsheltered. For the second book, we move on to translated fiction. I haven't read nearly enough translated fiction this year. I feel really bad about that. I looked at my Goodreads, read what I've read this year so far, and there's been hardly any translated fiction. So I thought I'd at least have to pick one for the October TBR. And this one is a Mexican author, Cristina Rivera Garza, and her novel The Taiga, Syndrom, which was translated from the Spanish by Levin and Aviva Kana. I probably butchered all three of the names. I tried to figure out the pronunciation, but I couldn't find anything on YouTube. Anyway, like I said, Cristina Rivera Garza is a Mexican author. She was born in 1964 and she was a prolific writer, but this is only the second novel of hers that has been translated into English. It follows an unnamed female detective looking for a couple on the run. The detective had been hired by the husband or ex-husband of the woman in the couple. That didn't make any sense grammatically, but you know what I mean. And so the detective and a translator venture into, the snowy taiga looking for this couple. And from the blurb, what I understand, it's fairy tale-like tale. So you get references to all kinds of fairy tale, maybe even it's a little bit gothic, but I thought it sounded interesting. It's quite a short book, 150 pages, released on the 1st of October, but I could only find the Kindle version. So I don't know whether there will be a hardcover or paperback release, but you can read it on your e-reader. The third book is Nonfiction, and for October I picked an essay collection edited by Glory Adam called The Well-Read Black Girl. Now, Glory Adam has been a strategist, as you call it, and she runs a book club in real life, but also as a digital platform called The Well-Read Black Girl, where it's about the experience of young Black women to find themselves in literature. And that's also what the essay collection is about. You have Jasmine Ward as a contributor, you have Tayara Jones as a contributor, and all the authors, female authors exclusively, have written an essay about the importance to find yourself represented in literature. It's about gender, it's about race, it's about the beauty of the written word, reading. I'm struggling with words today. I'm sorry. So I thought that project, The Well-Read Black Girl, I've been following it since a couple of years, is very interesting, and this collection sounded interesting because for me it's the opportunity, to read about something that I will never experience myself personally. So I thought The Well-Read Black Girl as an essay collection sounded really interesting, and I hope you do so too. And the fourth book is crime, and I picked Jane Harper's new book, The Lost Man, which will be published on the 23rd of October. Jane Harper is an Australian author, and if you have been following me either on BookTube or on Twitter, you know how much I loved her book, The Dry. The detective Aaron Falk, I thought was great. The story was fantastic. It's set in the outbacks of Australia. I thought it was a brilliant crime thriller. I didn't enjoy the second one in the series, also featuring Aaron Falk, The Force of Nature, that much. I thought it was a bit too much following the typical crime genre cliches, whereas The Dry is really inventive, I thought. But still, I was happy to have discovered Jane Harper. I'm always happy to discover, Australian authors. And this one, the new book, The Lost Man, is a standalone. It's also set in the outbacks in Queensland, in a very isolated area, and you have, of course, a dead man, and it's unclear from what I read in the blurb whether he committed suicide, just walked to his death, or whether somebody killed him. I'm not sure whether there's a detective involved because it didn't say in the blurb, but as I said, it's a standalone, so we will not have Aaron, the detective, in the previous two novels in this one. But I really enjoyed Jane Harper's writing. I like to read about, place in the world that I've never been to. I've never been to Australia, and she has this very intense descriptive voice. So even though I have never seen this place, you can really picture it. At least that's what she did as well in The Dry as in The Force of Nature. So I love the atmosphere in her books. And even though, like I said, I didn't think Force of Nature was as good as The Dry, I hope that this one, as a standalone, will reach again the level of The Dry. And as always, we finish off with science fiction. And I'm delighted that Martha Wells comes out with the fifth and final book in her Murderbot series, Exit Strategy. Now, Martha Wells is a Texan author, and if you haven't read the Murderbot series, but you know Martha Wells, you might know her as a fantasy author because she also wrote fantasy series. But this one is sci-fi, and I absolutely love this series. Like Anne Leckie said, I love the Murderbot. So do I. I said it's the fifth book. And although I think you can read the books as standalone because what you need to know about the past is not assumed that you know, but it's explained. But to have the real experience, I think you should read all 5 books in order, starting with All Systems Red, which came out last year. And they are all more novellas than novels. I think none of them has more than 130 or 150 pages. So it's actually, the whole series is one really big book. The main character is an android, a security unit, who calls himself Murder Bot, because something in his past happened, some malfunction, and a lot of people got killed. And I love this main character. He is insecure and ill-humored and gruffy, and but also very witty. And the stories always center around him getting involved in some conspiracy, trying to find out also that's sort of the thread through all the 5 books about his past. So if you haven't started or read the series, I would recommend that you start with the first one, see whether you like it, and then move on until number 5, Exit Strategy, which will be, like I said, unfortunately, in a way, the last one. Anyway, so those were my picks for the October TBR books to be released in October. Thank you very much for watching. I hope you've enjoyed the video. Let me know down in the comments whether you plan on reading any of the books or whether there are new releases in October that you are most interested in, or what you're planning to read next. I'm looking forward to your comments as always, and I'll see you all soon in my next video. Bye-bye.